5 reasons the Philippines is better than the US. If you're interested in traveling to the Philippines, stand by. Welcome back to Walking Man Walks. Thanks for stopping by. Go ahead, subscribe, leave a comment. The most important thing, like and share. If you do all those things, my videos will blow up, but you don't have to. It's okay. So the 5 reasons the Philippines is better than the US, in my opinion. Reason number 5 is the tropics and the beaches. Yeah, we have nice beaches in the US and Florida, California. I live in Colorado, so obviously there's no nice beaches here, but of course we have the mountain skiing. We have a lot of nice things, but the 7,000 islands in the Philippines, there's just amazing beaches everywhere. And the main difference is you could stay in a condo in the Philippines on the beach for $25 or $30 a night, you know, a nice condo, where anywhere in the US, it's almost out of most people's price range to stay at a condo on the beach. I mean, walk onto the sand beach, you know, sand front. So the number 5 reason I think the Philippines is better than the US is the beaches. If you love beaches, the Philippines is one of the most amazing places in the world. The number 4 reason that I really like the Philippines better than the US, this is a little selfish, you know, I'm in my 50s now, but the way they treat their elders there with respect, you know, in the US, most people, you know, when they become seniors, they're like a second thought. People don't pay attention to what they say much. Then when it gets really bad, when people get really old, like my mom a few years ago, she was 89, she needed to go into a facility. And in the US, you put somebody in a facility, first of all, it's $10,000 a month for a full care facility. So, and insurance doesn't pay for that. So you might have to, in my case, we had to sell our family home that I grew up in New York, and that's how we paid for it till she passed on. But, you know, it was a constant worry, like, how are we going to pay for this when the money runs out? I don't even make $10,000 a month. So anyway, that's the US. In the Philippines, you know, it takes a village. The family will take care of their elders until they're gone. It's just, you know, in their culture that the younger people take care of the older people when they get so old that they can't take care of themselves anymore. And, you know, I'm not close to that old yet, but it's just endearing to me, and seeing my mom go through that. And I wasn't in a position to leave my job and be a full-time caretaker. That's not really possible in the US. Neither were any of my siblings. You know, the US, it's like work, 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 grind, 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 and never get ahead. So you don't have extra money to pay for your aging parents or grandparents to be taken care of for $10,000 a month. So number 4, in the Philippines, they take care of their elders. Number 3 thing I like about the Philippines, one of my favorite aspects there, is the ingenuity of the Filipino people. They can fix anything there, like, and it's not that expensive, which, you know, is always a consideration, especially when traveling. If you take your car or your motorcycle or whatever you have with a motor or whatever to a mechanic, a local mechanic, he'll fix it, or he'll figure out how to fix it. You know, if they don't have a part, they'll make it themselves. I've seen them do that. The ingenuity is through the roof for Filipinos, just because they've always had so little to work with. So that's number 3, is they could fix anything, and you don't have to go far to get it fixed or spend a lot of money. Number 2 is family, how families there stay together. You know, I've had a girlfriend there for several years now, and it's really hard for me to get her, and I'm not saying I want to, but to try and get her to move even a few months away. Like, the common misconception is, if you have a Filipino girlfriend, a Filipino, when she's dating an American, she wants to move to the US and, you know, live the American dream, shining city on the hill and all that stuff. But it's not really that true. A lot of Filipinas, they have no interest. I mean, some do for sure, but a lot of them have no interest in coming to the US. The main reason they date men from the US is not what you think, you know, for money and all that stuff. I mean, that's part of it, and that's, you know, there's a whole culture of that. But there's a lot of other reasons, and I'll make other videos about that, and I have made videos about that. In fact, I'll link a video up here about that, a video that explains why Filipinas want to date men from the West more in depth, or why I think and why my Filipino friends have told me that they want to date men from the West. So number 2 is family. Filipino families are usually very poor, but they work together. I mean, my girlfriend tells me she grew up on a farm, very poor. You know, she was super happy if for lunch she had dried fish and a tomato to take with her to school for lunch. And it's still one of her favorite foods today. So they grew up on a little river in the country on a farm. And she said they were poor. They had nothing money wise. You know, they had no gold and silver or riches. But she said they were so much happier than the family, than her family currently is now. I mean, they're all adults, they have their own families and stuff. But the father, her dad, died when they were young, the patriarch. And after that, the family kind of fell apart and they fought over land and stuff like that. Even though Filipino families are generally very poor, like much poorer than you think of the poor here in the US, they still work together to eke out a life and get by, and it's a beautiful thing. So that's one of the things that, you know, we've kind of lost in the US. We have so much wealth. To be poor in the US is much different than being poor. I've been poor in the US and I've seen poor in the Philippines and Africa and other places, but so it's much different. But anyway, number 2 is the family. And the number 1 thing, of course, I like about the Philippines over the US is the cost of living. It's so much cheaper to live there. When I go back, I'm looking for an apartment to rent while I'm there. I'm going to travel a lot. I'm going to buy a vehicle. But I'm going to rent an apartment as like my base. I've already acquired some stuff there that I want to store. Like, you know, living in the place I lived last year, I bought an air conditioner because it was just, the landlord didn't want to put one in. I wanted an air conditioner. I wanted to stay in the place. So I just bought an air conditioner. But now the landlord doesn't want the air conditioner, you know, so I'm just going to move it to the new place. To move the air conditioner to the new place, I'll have to rent a truck and stuff. But because the cost of living there is not much, all that, like renting a truck to move it down, I'm moving like 3 or 4 hour drive towards Manila south, mostly for my girlfriend. It's closer to a really cool surf beach called San Juan. But my girlfriend's sister and her wife live there, and she really wants to be closer to them, especially if when I come back to the US and work, then she could be, you know, really close to her sister, not 4 or 5 hours away. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So number 1 reason I like the Philippines better than the US, and I go there for my 4-month furlough every year, is that I could live really well there for a lot less money than it costs to live in Colorado when you're not working. You know, I mean, I'm on furlough for 4 months, so I can work here in Colorado, but I could go live in the Philippines and live for much less money and not have to work. And since I live at my work here in Colorado, in the summer in my RV here, and I just store it in the winter, then I would have to get an apartment in Colorado in the winter. And it's, if anybody's ever done that in Colorado, it's such a hassle. You know, there's so many rules, and it costs, you know, $5,000 to $10,000 to secure the apartment for the winter. It's not really that affordable unless you deal with a bunch of people and who wants to live with. Anyway, the cost of living in the Philippines is why I go there in the winter. It's the main reason I like the Philippines better than the US. Okay, guys, sign up for my Buy Me a Coffee if you want to help out the channel. I'm trying to save enough money on there to buy a new camera. That link will be right here. If you're going to travel, get yourself Remitly. I made a few videos about that. It's a great way to send yourself cash, or even what they call mobile money, to your phone. Mobile money, if you want to send it through Remitly while you're in the Philippines or Thailand or Europe, you just send it to yourself. Of course, the country has to have a mobile app, like it's Gcash in the Philippines, and Thailand has one. I mean, I think every, you know, Apple Pay here, I think every country has one by now. In Kenya, it was M-Pesa, something like that, or I can't remember. But anyway, it's free to send myself money on my phone, and then you can just spend it off your phone wherever you are, which is really easy, and it's almost instantaneous. And that's gotten me out of a jam more than once. Or you could just send yourself cash, pick it up at a Western Union or a similar place, depending on what country you're in. And that's got me out of jam more than once. But Remitly will be linked in the description below if you're interested in that. You know, full disclosure, I get a little bit of money if you sign up for it, but it doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't cost you anything to sign up for Remitly. You could attach a debit card or a bank account. I have both attached, and it works out great. Anyway, see you guys next time. Peace out.
The end.